4, 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome to another episode of Sins Reality. We have a very interesting guest tonight. You want to introduce yourself, Glenn?
Hi, my name is Glenn Kochlam. I'm the brand ambassador for Don Adriano Tequila.
And I got my good friend here, Amin.
I'm in Rockra from Kingsway Real Estate.
All right, so Glenn, explain your story about this fine tequila, each one. Let's start with this one first.
Our tequila, yes. Our Reposado is a blend of agaves and the special aging in the barrels that we actually use. So our flavor profile comes differently than what traditionally tequilas come from, is from the fact of how we age our tequila. So essentially, tequilas are aged in whiskey and bourbon barrels. We didn't want to go down that route because that's kind of gives you that burn, that kick in the pants. Yeah. So essentially, we came up with the idea of aging our tequila in French oak used red wine barrels.
And so this one's that, and what's this one right here?
So our Blanco is actually 100% Blue Weber agave, which is the best agaves you can get. We actually use a Highland agave, which gives it a more sweeter profile. And realistically, it's distilled and it comes out instantly and it's bottled instantly. There's no aging involved in that.
So question, what is the difference between this and let's say something like Casamigos? Like what is the difference between both the brands?
Casamigos does not age their tequila in wine barrels. Mm-hmm. They age them in either whiskey and bourbon barrels. So that changes the flavor profile on it. The agaves that they use, we use a Highland agave mixed for sweeter agave. So I'm not sure exactly what they're using for their agaves. And we also use a 6.5-year-old agave.
And this one right here is your highest tequila, right?
Yes, that's our number one tequila, our añejo. It's aged, it sits in a barrel for 18 months. So what happens is that you start taking on the flavor of the actual barrel that you put it in. So now when you choose a different type of alcohol to put that liquid inside of it, it gives you the flavor profile that this gives you. And what you're getting is essentially a smoother tasting tequila without that kick, without that burn, and you're getting a really nice aftertaste to it, and it gives you that beautiful flavor to it.
What did you think of the alcohol?
I actually like the white one.
So
actually,
this one right here?
Yeah.
So what did you think of it out of 10? What would you give it?
Smooth. Probably 9.5.
Yeah, because the thing is with tequila, I find that it burns pretty significantly, like very significantly. Like it hurts a lot. Yeah. And that's kind of the reason why I drink whiskey, because the whiskey doesn't have that type of burn. But with this one, like I found that this one was super smooth.
Smooth, yeah.
And so what's your story exactly? Like how did you come up with it? Like,
so I got into the tequila business around 18 years ago. A friend introduced me to a product back then. And he was at the launch of it. He brought it back here to Canada because I grew up in the hotel industry. He asked me my opinion of it. I had a friend that worked at the LCBO, asked him about it. He actually was from Mexico. He actually really liked it. And so I approached the number one tequila bar back in that day. There was realistically one really tequila bar, and it was called Reposado.
Yeah.
Right? So I went to the owner of that, Sandy, and asked him, what do you think of this tequila?
Yeah.
And he says, do me a favor, bring it in. At that point, I brought it in, and after 3 to 4 years, because my relationships with my dad owning a hotel, my relationships with other hotel owners, I approached them and got my product onto their shelves and into their back bars. And after 3 to 4 years, I built up such a demand for it that I put in for a new product call at the LCBO, and we actually won it. So traditionally...
How long was that? Like, how long was that?
That was around 13, 14 years ago.
Okay. So you guys been, like, conductively working with LCBO for 13, 14 years?
You have to work from day one for anything that you
All
bring.
3 bottles?
Anything you bring into Ontario has to go through the LCBO.
Of course, yeah.
So quick question for you. So I know that there's one brand that I like. It's Nelk Boys. It's called Happy Dad.
Yes.
And so my question for you is that I've watched their videos before, and they said it's incredibly difficult to get into LCBO. Why is that?
Just for instance, for us in bringing my first tequila to the LCBO, there was entries of over 200.
Okay.
200 entries. The LCBO only has so much shelf space, right? So traditionally, out of those 200, they might pick 2.
2 only. That's it.
2
Wow.
to move forward,
Okay.
right? That's how difficult it is. Everybody in the world, all suppliers of all alcohol, want to be on the shelf of the LCBO. Why? Because you're guaranteed to be paid. You're paid. Your first payment is after they take bring the product there. Your first one is 90 days. You're not paid on the 88th day. Not paid on the 91st. There's a check in your bank account on the 90th day.
So whether they sell it or not?
Yes.
Okay.
After that, they will pay every 30 days. 30 days after they receive the product, you have a check in your bank account.
So,
okay.
So do you think that LCBO is the best out of all provinces in Canada?
No.
Because I know, like in Vancouver,
Well, LCBO, Ontario, no.
No.
Like,
So-
majority all of provinces except
Yeah.
for Quebec. Quebec, I think, right?
No.
No?
So all the Quebec is probably more difficult.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
deal with
yeah,
than the
yeah, exactly.
LCBO.
Yeah.
The easiest one is Alberta.
Okay.
Alberta is still kind of run by the government, but they let the market do it on its own. For instance, you can go to Costco. You can go to, they have liquor store or private owned liquor stores in the province that they can you can buy your alcohol from. Unlike here, you have to go to the LCBO. In British Columbia, they're transitioning over to the way
privatization.
Alberta.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of semi-privatization.
Yeah, he's right.
Right?
Yeah.
LCBO here, I don't see that coming.
No,
With
not
spirits.
here. Yeah,
I'm talking about spirits.
Yeah.
Right?
You'll see more like beers, even
Yes.
even a Walmart or like one of those, any of those grocery stores, right?
Convenience
Yeah,
stores
convenience
are going to
stores,
be
yeah.
able to have your 7-Eleven.
Yeah,
your
yeah.
all convenience stores are going to have beer coolers, those kind of
Seltzers,
things.
yeah.
But you can't buy hard alcohol.
Yeah, of
spirits.
Why is that though? Like, why do you think the Ontario government is so strict on
Governed,
that though?
right? They want to keep the profits to themselves.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah,
It's the biggest cash cow for Ontario. Of
course.
is the LCBO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not going to give up on that.
There's
They
billions
make
of
way
dollars.
Too much money.
Of course.
The margins, and a lot of people think, oh, you're an alcohol. Oh, you make tons of money. No.
No, yeah.
The LCBO makes tons of
Of
money.
course.
Okay.
So what's the margin that LCBO takes typically?
So, for instance, if the LCBO will come to me and say, okay, I'm going to pay you $20, $5 to $90.
Holy shit, that's
$70 a pop.
Yes.
Wow.
But what they do is the LCBO will go pick it up from the distillery because they do not want any product that has been sitting there for months and months and months. So when they know that they're getting fresh product, the only way to do that is you go right to the distillery. They pick it up. You don't ship it here. They go there. They pick it up. They bring it here. You come and you pick it up at the LCBO's warehouse.
That's so fascinating. Wow. So the LCBO is profiting quite a bit then, no?
Massive.
Yeah, because
So what are your margins like?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Well, I just told you,
Yeah.
on a $90 bottle, they'll pay us $20.
That's it?
Yes, and then we have to produce everything.
Is it worth it then?
So your margins are 20. Sorry to cut you off there, but $20 is what your margins are, and then you got to produce it, put it into a bottle,
Yes.
right, and then produce it to them.
They'll pick it up.
Yeah, they'll pick it up for $20.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they sell it for 90.
Yes.
Is it worth it?
Yes. So here's the thing of why you say, and then that's why all suppliers around the world want to be there, not just because that you get paid.
The recognition.
You get paid on time, and you're guaranteed to be paid. is there's 700 outlets. So you have one. So instead of going to a guy that owns 20 liquor stores, 10 liquor stores, 5 liquor stores, you have to go to all these people. It's one-stop shopping. Right?
Yeah.
So the LCBO, you go into them, and then all of a sudden you have access to all 700 stores. They will only put you in when you launch. They will, after you win a tender, they will put you in so many stores. On average, they'll put you in 100 stores. Then you have to go solicit yourself to all those managers and show them that it's worth having your product on their shelves, right? So, but you're not having to sit in front of a board, discuss in front of a board and a bunch of owners and CEOs to say, hey, take on our product here. And once things will start rolling, then they will gravitate, and then they will start picking up the product, right? And then you get up to, like, for instance, we started off in 0 stores. We didn't want to be forced in anything, so because they didn't order enough, and we knew they would run out. So they only ordered 120 cases. That ran out in a month and a half.
Yeah.
Right. And now, right now, after being on the shelf 8 months, we're in 135 stores.
So I'm curious though. Okay, so the shelving space, like, because obviously, like, I know with retail as well, shelving space is so important with eye level. Where do you guys position yourself with eye level?
So what they're supposed to do in all LCBO new products is they're supposed to put you on the top shelf, so you're eye level.
Yeah.
For the first 6 months, right? Then after that, they can put you wherever they want on the 4 levels of the.
You have no control of that?
We have no control of.
That's horrible, don't you think?
It is, but the thing about it is you're not paying for, say, if you're in a grocery store, you have to pay for that shelf space.
Yeah, of course.
We're not paying for shelf space. That's included in the price.
Wow.
The only thing that we have to pay for is if we do, for instance, when you see there's a $3 discount.
Yeah.
Right? We have.
So you kind of don't have a say on where you guys put your.
Yeah, you don't.
Where you guys put your drinks, or where you guys put the bottles, and then.
Yeah, you don't.
It all comes to the relationship that you have with the LCBO, with the managers, with the relationship that you create for yourself, right? And
then whatever your brand is.
Yes, and the thing about it is how much you're selling,
of course,
right? What you're doing outside of the LCBO.
Yeah.
The marketing and all that.
Yes,
exactly.
Your marketing, getting an influencer on there. Like I said, we're reaching out to Justin, having him, get on board with us.
So does that help in terms of market? Because so one thing I want to say is that Ciroc, I'm sure you're familiar with Ciroc.
Yeah.
Ciroc was like, they got a brand ambassador called P. Diddy, right? I'm sure. Yeah. And so did that how exactly is your marketing scheme? So
with him, Sean Combs, absolutely amazing. He made Ciroc what Ciroc is.
Of course.
Right? But the thing is just like Mark Wahlberg, for instance, right?
Yeah.
He's out there. He goes out there and he's pushing the brand. You have to get out there. Where Sean P. Diddy, he's out there at every concert showing his bottle. He's giving that visibility and exposure. And that's essentially what you have to do, right? Because once these people see that this is what you like, well, they're going to try it. If it's a good product, guess what? It's just going to start snowballing.
Of course.
Right?
Have you guys have any celebrities?
We've had celebrities reach out to us. We're essentially waiting for the right celebrity.
After that, it's like a ripple effect, right? It's a domino effect.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And the great thing of what we have behind us is we have probably the nicest tequila.
No, your tequila's
out
good.
there.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Right. And our price points are actually very, very good price points. So when you have something for a celebrity to come into, because realistically, a celebrity wants to put his name on something that is on the same level as his name. So if you want to have a top A-list celebrity, you need to have a top A-list tequila
of course.
to go along with that,
Yeah.
right? And does that always happen? No.
Not always. Yeah,
No,
of course.
they're just out there trying to make a quick dollar, putting their name on, and every celebrity is putting their name on tequila right now.
So I'm so curious because, okay, you told me that the bottle sells for $20 for LCBO, right? So how do you make that much? It doesn't make any sense.
Volume.
For the
Volume.
Volume.
Yeah.
That's what you do is you have 700 stores.
700. Even
Okay, so-
if you sell 20 units,
Yeah.
No.
that's 1,400.
So each store, approximately how much units are you keeping each store?
Each store, it depends on, certain stores will sell more
Yeah, of
than
course,
the
of
others.
course.
The bigger
Average,
stores
average.
like Queens Quay, Summerhill, compared to, down the street in your neighborhood. You can go from anywhere with our Don A. Anejo.
Yeah.
Because it sells for $252.
Of course, yeah.
So you're not going to sell as many
Yeah.
bottles as those because of the price point that it's at. A good week for us is like 6 bottles
So 6 bottles
in,
only
in one
per.
store.
In one store. Okay.
In one store, yes.
Okay.
So that's not much, no?
We got to look at,
Well, if
there's
it's
700
one
then,
store,
right?
Yeah.
If you're into 100, 200, 300, once you hit 300-400 stores, then if you're doing a case, and then you got to remember we're just starting right now.
Yeah.
We're at the beginning of this. So once time and people
And then you guys
start
haven't tapped
understanding,
it. You guys haven't tapped into the U.S. market yet.
No, we have it, yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that's pretty much the last country we're going to go into because it's really difficult. Without a celebrity, it's very
But
difficult.
isn't it also easier because it's privatized and it's easier to get into, like talking to like individuals than pretty much a corporation like LCBO?
You would think that, but the thing about it is that without a celebrity, there's so many on the shelf. Instead of
okay.
having, in the LCBO, you have a limited number of space, so you'll have maybe 15 tequilas in a
Yeah.
store. In a store in the U.S., you'll have 50.
Yeah.
So now,
Yeah.
you're getting
That makes sense. Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
People have more to pick from. So unless you're not one of the main market guys, you have to do something special, right? So, for instance, we're all the tequila shows. We do things like that, right? And we go to the tequila shows, the Gourmet Food and Wine Expo, Taco Fest.
Yeah.
Is going to be a big one where we have to be out there, and we'll get the visibility exposure. So more people have to learn it.
So the bottle design is probably the most important thing, right? Because whenever I go to LCBO, I always look kind of like the bottle. What exactly did you inspire with this type of bottle? Like it kind of looks similar to, what's the brand?
Plaza Azul.
Yeah, Casa
Yeah,
Azul,
okay,
exactly.
yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. This is realistically, Plaza Azul is a traditional bottle, Mexican traditional bottle. We put a kind of like a contemporary spin on a traditional bottle. And, if you look at it, it's very similar to the colors, everything of Plaza Azul. It's kind of to show people that we're actually on Plaza Azul's level, but we're actually a little bit better than they
So,
are.
because being in the industry, how much do you think celebrities actually get paid? Like, let's say like Sean Cope, right? How much averaged? How much do you think he gets paid to be a brand ambassador for, let's say, Ciroc?
Sean Combs gets paid 50% of all profits in the United States.
50%.
Wow.
50%
That's crazy.
of all profits in the U.S. of A.
So where's the margin then? How does it make sense?
Because he only gets paid for U.S., but he gives exposure to the whole world for Ciroc. Ciroc is around the world.
Yeah, of course.
He doesn't get paid for bottles in Canada.
but
He
how
doesn't
much-
get paid for the bottles sold in Europe. He only gets paid on the bottles that's sold in the USA. But he gets 50% of that.
Can you
But how much does
Yeah.
Ciroc sell to USA? In terms of I know it's going to be individual fees because it's going to be it's not private, it's privatized, right? So
Yes. Yeah.
on average, how much do you think they sell per bottle?
So I believe a bottle, I know it sells here for $55. $7.50 of Ciroc in the U.S., I believe sells for around
30, 40.
$35, $34. So I would think because the retail has got to make their money because it's on profit that he makes. So I would sit there and go, he's probably getting $10 a bottle.
Okay.
In
That's
his-
fucking
in his pocket.
ridiculous. So he's making bank.
Of course.
Huge. The U.S. of A. sells a ton
$10.
of alcohol.
Yeah.
$10 a bottle is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So who
Think about it.
Yeah.
Just 10 million, not even 10 million, a million bottles will make them $10 million.
That's ridiculous. So, which have you guys? Okay, obviously, like with pop culture, like you know that rap is probably the biggest thing with selling bottles.
Yeah.
Have you guys? Is there any celebrity you can drop that who you guys are kind of working with, or want to work with?
Yeah, there's a couple big ones. Real big ones.
That you're currently working with, or
No,
you're-
not currently
okay.
working with.
That you want to.
They actually just received a bottle.
Okay.
You can't
from
say
us
name?
within the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
No, I can't. But
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are Canadians.
Drake.
They are Canadians, right?
We can guess a few names.
So
Weeknd,
we're just in the last couple of weeks gotten bottles. We actually had a couple other celebrities reach out to us to show their interest in it. We just didn't find that it was the right fit at the time.
Do you find that like TikTokers and YouTubers are probably the way to go now?
You know what? I'm just learning that right now.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a whole new world to me right now, and that's why through a friend of a friend, he's got me into this world of the marketing world of influencers.
Yeah.
And that's how we got involved with Justin.
Yeah.
And this is our first kick in the can with it.
Because it's so important to get an influencer, because at the end of the day, like I only
not even only one. He needs like something like this, a brand like this.
Yeah.
You need multiple.
you need multiple.
Yeah.
You need multiple.
Yeah.
Well, in saying that, like you were saying, going into the USA, and I told you that probably be one of the last markets we got into. We just went into Turks and Caicos. Our shipment just left for there. I solidified the deal a few months ago. And so we went into Turks and Caicos. We're just making orders right now. We're just going into Italy, Spain, and Belgium.
Okay.
So we're starting to get outside the country. We're starting to get a lot of interest.
So your game is at the end of the day volume, because realistically your profit margins are very thin.
Right.
Like that's just the reality of what it is. Like
Yes.
like your profit margins are what, maybe 10% at most.
Yeah.
At most.
But that's here in
Canada.
Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in States, it's like it's way more difficult.
It's more difficult.
It's more difficult,
margin.
but it's all margins. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly,
because you have to sell on volume. Because at the end of the day, like if your brand is not known, I would not buy your brand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
you realistically you have for the first like, so what would you say like the first like couple of years you're probably in the net negative?
No,
Yeah.
so if that's why he probably wants to go U.S. last, because U.S. he's gonna have in U.S. alone
Yeah, U.S. alone. How many years? You take a guess.
probably 4 or 5 years,
Is that right?
maybe more.
It
depend-
all
again,
depends.
it all- yeah.
Like you look
Yeah.
at Happy Dad.
Yeah.
But
But Happy Dad's because of Nelk.
No,
They already had a brand.
but again, right? If you hit the right celebrities,
Yes.
right?
But Nelk was already had a brand though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you hit the right celebrities and you talk to the right connects,
Yeah.
right, it can be overnight.
But so how do you manage cash flow then? Because your cash flow must be
From
fucked.
other countries.
No. Well, no. Right now is, like I said, this isn't the only thing.
Yeah.
That we own. Right. There's other things.
Yeah.
That are making money.
Yeah.
This is at the beginning of it, so you understand that this is money you got to put out. First, it will come back over time, just like the other ones that we take on.
But how many
And
years?
yeah.
How many years until you're profitable for an alcohol brand like this? How many years?
I'm hoping, 2 to 3 years.
So you're telling me that like technically speaking, like you're net negative for a couple of years. So that means you need a decent amount of cash flow then.
You're putting into this before when you're starting this. You're putting in close to $1 million.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, when you have to buy all the
That's
barrels, you got to buy the bottles, everything that you have
Manufacturing, everything, yeah.
to put out, everything.
That's
right?
crazy. That's
You know?
crazy. So is it worth it then? Like, if you're doing 3 years of net negative,
Again,
a million.
it's like
But a lot. But think about it. I mean,
you gotta suffer the pain in the
But-
beginning,
but
but
think
then
about-
after that,
yeah.
right
But
down the road, it's gonna it's gonna be milking.
But think about it. I mean, think about how many brands don't succeed in LCBO.
Of course.
Oh,
Right? Like I've seen a lot of bottles that I don't even look at and nobody looks at.
Yeah.
So think about how much money you're burning into.
Yeah, of course.
so the biggest thing is, like how you say in marketing, this and that. My biggest thing is you got to get that exposure to visibility. Well, you're saying, okay, the LCBO, your margins are very low.
Yeah, of course.
But the thing about it is you have to understand, you use their staff. Their staff, we're not paying for their staff. So what I do, the biggest thing that I do is staff tastings, right? Because
How so? What do you mean by that?
they're your front line. They're the ones that are selling the product for you.
But
they are
typically-
reaching out to the consumer and telling that consumer comes in, hey, what do you think of a good tequila? This is our best
But
tequila.
typically, though, when I go to LCBO, it's actually not hard alcohol. It's always testing for wine. Always.
Yes. No,
Always.
Staff tastings. You're talking about consumer tasting.
But that's the biggest thing, though, consumer tasting.
No, staff, to me, it's staff tastings, then consumer tastings.
Why is that?
The staff are the ones that are selling your
At the
product
end of the
for
day,
you. If
they
your staff doesn't know,
if they don't know.
On 10% margin, like
Think about it.
It just
If
blows
I'm-
my mind that you're running on that, because how do you make a profit on 10% profit margin? Because you said the LCBO takes only $20 a bottle, right? How are you possibly making that much? I get it, volume, but like you have to sell a shit ton of bottles. You're
right.
burning through so much cash. Like how much cash reserve do you need to have for the first 5 years? Like it must be $1 million every year, $1 million deficit every year.
No. Not. That's your initial investment.
Yeah.
The initial investment, and then after that, now you're bringing in money.
So
after your first shipment. So before
So
you
it
start, I'm
offsets.
just talking about before you start having sales.
Okay.
Right. You have to put up that money to present the product.
Mm-hmm.
Right. To have the liquid, to have the inventory, all that. That's the money you got to put. After that, now you have money coming in. Right.
If you were to, I'm just guessing like that. If you were to pick, okay, something like Casamigos.
Yeah.
So Casamigos, in my opinion, is a brand that's very catered to females, right? Do you think that your brand is catered to females? Because I know for a fact that girls love Casamigos.
Now, I think we are more in a play for females because of how we aged our tequila. So we age our tequila.
But chicks don't care about that though.
Yeah, well, they do, because how many women like wine?
Women, they love wine.
We age our tequila in French oak used red wine barrels. We are the first ones to have a correlation with the wine world, with tequila and the wine world. So females, because of how you taste the flavors, all that, we don't have a burn behind it. You don't get that kick in the pants. Females will gravitate towards this more so than Casamigos, because Casamigos still has that burn to go down, and we have the wine relationship. Women will gravitate towards us once they start tasting it. What my job is to get those staff of the LCBO that are on the front lines to relay that message to the consumer. And that's where I get the staff tastings from.
Yeah.
Consumer tastings
Okay.
will come after that. Now I will reach out to consumers. But your staff, they're there 24/7, not one person coming in at a time. It comes in once every couple of weeks. They're there every day.
The thing is, like I honestly like your alcohol, but the thing is, if I'm going to give my own opinion, I feel like the hurdle is so large to get to what you want to get to, and I feel like, I don't know, like what do you think? Do you think it's worth doing? Like, if you were an investor, would you invest into alcohol brand realistically? Like do you
Depending on again, right, how large it is.
Let's say you had
what kind of
let's say you had 200 grand. Would you do it realistically? Because I feel like it's
no 200
Yeah,
grand's
yeah.
not gonna do anything.
Because I feel like it's
No.
it's such a hurdle to make it.
No.
Listen, 200 grand is not even gonna get your feet wet.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Is that like,
Yeah.
like okay, would you truly
You
invest?
need-
Would you
you
truly
too-
invest in an alcohol brand? Honestly,
No.
Yeah, same.
200 grand's not gonna get you.
I wouldn't
anywhere.
either.
Yeah,
It sounds so fucked. Would you do it?
if I had investors, maybe.
I don't know, man. I
You need
don't
at
know.
least if you had $1 million and if you had about $2 to $3 million investments out from outside, possibly I could think about
it
it.
sounds like a cash like burning, to be honest with you. Like
Depending on- okay.
alcohols of in general, in general, drinks in general, beverages are the most hardest industry to get anything.
100%.
Of course, anything entertainment wise, it's gonna be very hard to.
Seriously.
First of all, it's very hard to enter, and you need to know the right people.
Yeah.
And then again, obviously, you need a lot of money to blow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I mean, personally speaking, like if I had that type of, maybe I do, but like if I personally like, I think the alcohol is great, but I feel like you're spending so much money on marketing that I don't know how I would be so worried about the risk.
Well, that's the thing is there isn't a lot of money for marketing. That's why it's organic growth, I call it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Yeah. What does that mean? You knock on doors. You go to a bar down the thing. I'm driving down the street. I see, there's a Mexican restaurant. I'm stopping, and I'm just stopping and going in there cold call. That's what you have to do.
Tough.
But for you, I think the best way to do anything is to reach out to distributors.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Or marketers that actually sell.
I agree.
Right? Because if you're gonna go to individual bars, that's gonna take you time.
100%. He's right.
Yes.
He's right.
Right? Like one at a time is gonna take you what?
Yeah.
Like 5 to 10 years to actually succeed.
100%.
Right? And then if you go down to the States, it's even crazier because your not even your margins, your whole radius expands.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to state.
Yeah.
To go and market and even talk to any of these guys.
Yeah. Yes. And that's why if you do want to be successful, especially in the tequila world, you really need a celebrity behind you in the USA. Mm-hmm. But another thing too is the big guys like Southern Glaciers, Southern Wine Spirits, Diageo, all the allies.
It's heavily governed too, right?
They're going to ask me before they even accept me. They want to say how much.
What's my percentage?
No, they're going to say how much are you going to support this.
Yeah.
So they want a dollar figure, and usually for something like this, it's like $500,000 to $1 million that you have to kick to them.
Of course.
So they can support it properly.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's an upfront fee.
That's yes. So that's in the U.S.
Yeah.
That's why it becomes very difficult. So you have to watch in the U.S.
What about going to say like Mexico or anything like that? Because that's again that's controlled by cartel.
Kind of. Yeah, he's right.
Well, the tequila isn't. But all bars
going to the bars, restaurants, going to clubs, right?
Yeah.
Again, they're all cartel.
Yeah.
Right.
But the funny thing is, too, you do understand with tequila, U.S. sells the most tequila in the world. Mm-hmm. Mexico doesn't. Oh. United States sells the most tequila in the world.
Interesting.
Right. So in that sense, you go to different countries. Mm-hmm. Right? Like how we're going to Turks and Caicos, we're going over to Europe and all that, right? Where you just go to a distributor there, you find the right distributor, and then they move it forward for you, right? The U.S. is a whole different ballgame
it's a beast.
than the rest of the world, right? And it's really celebrity driven, and that will really take you from 0 to 100. A lot quicker than doing the way that you do things organically.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
And knocking on doors and this and that. But here, when you don't have those huge margins, you have to utilize what you have. What you have at the LCBO, when you don't get the huge margins that you want, the thing is you utilize their staff. Mm-hmm. And you get their staff, they're the front line, and they sell things for you. Right, so you have to do the staff tastings, you do consumer tastings, but you also try and get into licensees, and a lot of licensees here will own 5 bars, will own 10 bars. Charles DeBooth, Inc., Icon Inc.
Yeah.
You're talking 30, 40 bars in there. So these are the kind of guys that you have to go with. You got to go do the shows, your tequila shows,
Hustle.
and just get the visibility and the exposure that you get through doing things that aren't costing you an arm and a leg.
So before we end the podcast, what do you guys say about your brand? Before we end, what's the one thing differentiated?
The Don Adriano is if you're a tequila lover, it's a must try. It's the nicest, smoothest tasting, and what it does, it shows you the difference of what the aging in wine barrels does compared to aging in the whiskey and bourbon barrel world, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difference that we bring to the table. We wanted to make a smoother tasting tequila with flavor behind it, and that's essentially what I believe we came up with, where after you taste it, you enjoy the flavor and you enjoy the taste of the tequila itself.
Took a shot right now. So yeah, make sure you guys follow. Do you have an Instagram account for this?
Don Adriano.
Don Adriano, guys. Make sure you guys follow. It's really good. Took a shot right now. Make sure you guys follow Sims Reality at Sims Reality Instagram, Kick, Rumble, YouTube, and yeah, we really appreciate you guys coming out, man.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate it. Anytime you're interested in having me, I'm more than happy to come back. Had a fabulous time with you.
Appreciate it. Take care, guys.
All right. Thank you.